Hello and welcome to a new video. So today will be the legs. The main reason I'm doing this quick intro to the video is because of the fact that I have trained a few people in the gym regarding how I train, but the only thing I haven't trained them on is legs, and the main reason is because I do a lot on my legs. I didn't used to. I've started doing it quite recently because a lot of people who have the knowledge for training know that for each muscle group there are a lot of different areas within that muscle you have to train. That's why you do different techniques, different exercises. And the two big muscle groups that actually do have a lot of is like your back and your legs. So I'm imploring you now, if you do watch these videos and you do take some of what I do into your own training, watch the video, don't just play it and then follow it and then just train as I'm trained, because your body may not react the same way. What I do in it is it does help, but if you are someone who's either starting off, I would suggest just think about what I'm actually doing first. I'd also say that wherever you do train, ask someone who works there to go through with you, because at the end of the day, you may have already been to them first and said, look, I want to do this, I want to do that. They see what you want to do from the video and they might suggest, okay, maybe you should do a few of them and then leave 2 or 3 exercises, build your legs up. Because if you go straight into it, 1, you might possibly injure yourself. 2, depending on what you do throughout the day, it might be a lot of strain on your legs. I will say this for notion, because obviously at the beginning of my training I do squats, which you'll see when the exercises start. Obviously in the video, it's not the heaviest I've done for squats, but it is when I'm doing a set of like 10 reps. Don't go stupidly heavy for your squats. I see a lot of kids doing it. There's no benefit of doing ridiculously heavy unless you're someone who's really strong, which you rarely see. Those who have really strong be able to lift heavy are those who have been doing it for either years or have got fantastic genetics. Not very often I've seen people who can do that. So my suggestion when you do squats, for me squats is more of just warming up the muscle ready for the rest of the exercises. So yeah, I didn't used to start off with doing squats because I've got bad knees. I still do. That's why I wear knee supports when I'm doing my legs. But my suggestion is go through the video, ask someone who works there to give you some advice of what you shouldn't do, and if you can, try and get a friend that will train with you, because when you do like squats and all that type of stuff, it's better to have a spotter there in case you can't lift that weight. You don't want to be that person who either has to fall to the ground to let the side, I've forgotten the word from now, but basically we have barriers for each side. I don't know what the name is for them, I'm drawing a blank, but they're there in case it's too heavy, you can't lift it, you drop down the bar, get secured there and you're safe. But at the end of the day, either I would suggest try and get a friend to spot you. The main reason I'm telling you this is because I don't really want loads of people doing stupid heavy weights and getting injured, and me getting loads of comments saying I tried this but now I'm injured, I'm out for a few months. That's why I always say on each video, go to someone who works at your local facility and can watch you do these exercises, make sure you are doing them correctly and safely. But as I said, if you have any questions regarding any exercises or about how much I do or why I'm doing what I'm doing for certain parts of the legs or any other muscle groups from my training videos, please don't hesitate. I would prefer you to ask questions than having this thing on your own and going for it. Obviously, if you've been training for years, you probably have a bit of knowledge. If you're new, I would suggest please ask as many questions as possible. So I've got nothing else to say, so I hope you enjoy the video and I hope that you do enjoy the training. Thank you. So here we go. So I'm gonna say for just doing your legs, start off with doing a bit of mobility, or I use this more for a bit of warmth for the joints. Obviously I'm gonna do, as you can see, I'm doing swinging from left to right. In a minute you're gonna see he's doing swinging forward to back as well. If you're not gonna do something like this, I would suggest going on a treadmill or bike. Do something just to warm up your muscles for about maybe 5 minutes at the most. You don't need to do a massive warm up for this, just enough where the muscles are warmed up, the blood's basically much warming up the muscle around. That way when you're going into your, especially when you're doing squats or any sort of leg exercises, you're not going in cold, because you can actually cause a major injury for your legs. You don't really want that, especially for your leg department, because if anything breaks or snaps, it's probably going to be the worst thing for you at that stage. So I'm doing, starting off with squats. I always say to people, when you first start off, don't go stupidly heavy like you see a lot of people do these days. Bear in mind, if you are doing strength work, you probably are going to be heavier than usual. But at the moment I'm doing from looks at 40k on each side. Bar's about 20 kilograms, so you're looking at 100 kilograms altogether. The main reason why I don't go ridiculously heavy for my squats is because my first exercise with my legs, I don't want my legs to gas out early on, because I do like I said at the beginning of the video, I do a lot on my legs. It's not really the best thing to do. As you can see, I've got barriers on the side. I'm telling you now, please use barriers. I see a lot of people don't do it. If you're going to go heavy, I would suggest using something like that. The best solution for you. Have someone watch you when you do technique as well, when you do these exercises, because if you see yourself in the mirror, you may think it's good, and then when someone's looking at it on the side, it may not be. It's more for your health and safety, and make sure you don't injure yourself. So I actually like doing these ones. I don't normally do them as much as I used to, but I do actually like these. It's basically much front squats. Works more for your front area of your legs, obviously. But I like it because obviously I'm going to be doing a lot of like leg extensions later on. It's a good way to warm up the front of the muscle. And obviously you work, obviously with this having done back squats, it's basically much the best solution for starting off. Like I said, these are basically much like a warm up going in for the further exercises, so I'm not gassing out my legs early on. So this will probably be the last time I'm going to use the hack squat. But I'm putting this on here because obviously I do like this machine, because even though it does look like it's a bit more on the front part of your legs, depending on where you have your legs positioned on that machine, depends on what part of the leg you focus on the most. Obviously I'm quite a tall guy, so my leg have to come further up, but where I've got them, it works both parts on my leg, not just the front. But again, it's a good exercise. I would suggest people to use it. But again, I'll probably change for the next video. Now I'm going to say to you is, don't go heavy. There's no point, because these are more for hip adjustments. So for myself, my flexibility isn't that good, and the strength in my hip isn't as good as it should be. That's why I obviously start off with squats to warm up them joints. I would have suggested for people to actually start off doing this machine and the one I'm going to use after. But again, for these ones I would suggest going light and just very slow and concentrated. Obviously there isn't much to do for technique because the machine is in a fixed place, so all you're doing is just like I'm showing now, moving the cushions around with the bar just to do the exercise. But again, I would really suggest you to start off with these machines first before going to squats, because at least that way your hips, so do the mobility or do a warm up, and then start with these ones. For the only reason why I do it this way is because at this point I'm giving me muscles for me hamstrings and my quads a bit of rest, go into these, get a bit of strength work in the hip flexions, then go on to the rest exercises. That's good for me. I'm not saying it's good for you, but if you are going to follow this and you're thinking about maybe doing my plan, do it this way. Otherwise, listen to your body. At the end of the day, you don't want to injure yourself. Think about what you're going to do. So here we go, leg curls. So I usually keep switching this up and down a lot, but this way is the best for me, which I go heavy straight away. I go between, always try to change the weight 3 times, so doing 3 different sets, and I always start off with 10 reps, and I go down to 6. Some people like to start with 12. I used to do 12, but I think starting with 10 for me is best. But I always go from 10, 8, 6. Then I go back on and I go much lighter, but instead of doing what you saw a bit faster, when I get to the top, as you can see, I'm slowing it down when I get to the top. So what I'm doing is when I get to the top, I'm squeezing my hamstrings. Now this is a point where, at this stage, your hamstrings will be on fire if you're doing the technique correct. And 2, you've actually, when you came to the heavy set, you've actually worked the hamstring properly. This is get that extra bit of intensification on your hamstring. It does work great like this. Trust me, after I've done these last 3 sets, and I don't change the weight on this, the weight stays the same. It's just when I get to the top, hold the weight for about a second if I can, and squeeze the hamstring as it gets up there. At that point, when I've done these 3 sets, my hamstring is on fire. So a lot of you probably think when you see these, I'm doing a lot more on the front end of my legs. The main reason is I just like it to do it this way. So I start off doing a heavy set, and I always do either 2 sets of 10 and 1 set of 8, or 1 set of 10 and 2 sets of 8. I think I said that correct anyway. But you get my point. Always do heavy set first. Then I do this one. I like doing this one because at this stage, you can feel a lot more on the legs. As you can see, I come up and I hold it for 1 or 2 seconds. You don't have to go, I wouldn't say go very light. Obviously, I've had to lower the weight a bit for this. And if I'm suggesting this for anyone, do not go stupidly heavy again. Obviously, you've just done your heavy set. This is a great movement, but again, you need to do different aspects for your legs, because obviously there's loads of different muscle groups within your legs. Again, hold it for a few seconds, much better. So the next one, now this one I find really funny, because no matter how many times I do it, what weight I'm on, how often I've trained my legs that week, or whatever I've done, it kills my legs by the end. This is my last one on my legs before I go to my calves. Basically what I'm doing is going very light, and as you can see, I'm going slow up and slow down. It's at a stage where my muscle is never relaxed, whether it's at the top or bottom. By the time my muscle gets to the bottom, I feel like I'm not holding the weight, I come straight back up. As I'm going up, I tense the muscle, come back down again. So it's always under tension, which is what you want. If you go that slow, even if the weight's light, by the time you've done 3 sets, your legs are absolutely shaking. You've got to stand up and shake them off. Your legs actually feel like jelly at this point. That's when you know you've got a good workout. Again, please speak to someone who works at your local facility to ask them about these exercises, because it may not work for you. So this is a machine I haven't used in a while, actually. I've only started using it recently because the gym facility I train at, I'm very limited to what I can use. So I'm doing calf raises, single leg ones. So what you don't see on this one is the right one is actually easier than the left one. I think the resistance on the left side is actually harder for some reason. I don't understand, the machine's quite old. But again, I do single leg on here, and then obviously I go straight in the double leg. The main reason is because I'm warming up each individual calf at the beginning with the single leg calf raises, which I think is a much better option for myself. And I go straight into doing double, which is a lot heavier, which means I'm getting intensification on that muscle. Especially with this machine where it's quite old, you've got a bit of resistance, so it does hit the muscle quite quickly and start feeling it very fast as well. But again, still a good machine. So obviously with this one, I'm just going to go straight into it. It's basically static sitting down. It's basically similar to the last machine, except that I can control the weights a lot easier, and for some reason it's a lot more comfortable on this machine, because obviously I'm not going that far compared to the last one. It's literally just a bit of a jolt up and down. I would suggest anyone for these sort of exercises, slow and concentrate, especially for your calves, because if you do it wrong, you can snap something in your Achilles. I have had times when I'm doing my calf raises and my Achilles does feel quite tight, which means I've had to slow down. Now, I do apologise for this angle because it's not very good,
but it's the best I could do with where I could put the camera. It's standing up one now. I used to do a lot more on the standing, but again, it's still a good exercise, but I'm finishing off with this one. It's just that last bit of squeeze. At this point, my calves are on fire. It's the last bit of squeeze. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video.